Police shootouts. They are neither fiction nor myth, they are real, and often, they are bloody. These chilling encounters, punctuated by the deafening roar of gunfire and the heart-wrenching cries of the fallen, are more than mere sensational headlines. They are stark reminders of the volatile world we live in, where the line between order and chaos is often blurred by bullets and bloodshed. But what exactly are police shootouts? Simply put, they are confrontations between law enforcement and individuals or groups who choose to resist arrest with violent force. These standoffs can be triggered by a range of situations. Bank robberies gone wrong, high-risk arrest warrants, or even domestic disputes spiraling out of control. However, regardless of their origins, these events often end in a tragic loss of life. Now, it's important to remember that not all police shootouts are created equal. Some are quickly resolved, while others turn into protracted battles with both sides refusing to back down. The latter are the ones that typically leave an indelible mark on our collective memory, the ones that become the stuff of legend and lore. Today, we delve into the dark annals of American history, exploring some of the most gruesome and unforgettable instances of armed confrontations between the police and those who dared to challenge them. We will take you on a journey across time and space, from the sun-baked streets of California to the icy roads of New Jersey, unraveling the stories behind the 5 bloodiest police shootouts in U.S. history. These are tales of bravery and tragedy, of men and women in uniform who stood their ground in the face of overwhelming odds. They are stories that continue to resonate with us, serving as stark reminders of the high price paid for law and order, and the sacrifices made by those who pledged to protect and serve. The first of these infamous confrontations we're discussing today takes us back to 1974. You may think you know about the bloody conflicts that have marked American history, but brace yourself. The reality is often far more harrowing than you could ever imagine. Los Angeles, 1974, a year marked by the violent showdown between the Symbionese Liberation Army and the LAPD. In the early hours of May 17th, the city of Los Angeles was jolted awake by the explosive clash between the radical left-wing militant group known as the Symbionese Liberation Army, or SLA, and the Los Angeles Police Department. This was the first time that a police shootout was broadcast live on television, making it a chilling spectacle for the nation. The SLA, infamous for the kidnapping of heiress Patricia Hearst, had been on the run for months. Their hideout, a humble house in south-central Los Angeles, was surrounded by hundreds of police officers armed to the teeth. The SLA, refusing to surrender, decided to fight back, sparking a 2-hour-long firefight that would go down in history as one of the bloodiest police shootouts in American history. The gunfire was relentless, punctuated with the thunderous booms of tear gas canisters being fired into the house. 6 members of the SLA, including their leader, Donald DeFreeze, were inside. As the bullets flew and the tear gas clouded the air, the house began to catch fire. Despite the chaos, the SLA did not back down. Instead, they continued to fire back at the police, even as the flames began to consume the house. By the time the gunfire ceased and the flames were extinguished, all 6 members of the SLA were found dead inside the burnt-out shell of the house. The aftermath of the shootout was a grim scene. The number of casualties was staggering, with all 6 SLA members dead and several police officers and civilians injured. The shootout was a stark reminder of the violence that can erupt when radical ideologies clash with law enforcement. The Symbionese Liberation Army shootout was a shocking event, etched into the annals of American history. It was a bloody confrontation that left a lasting mark on the nation, highlighting the lengths some are willing to go to fight against perceived injustice. This was only the beginning of a series of violent confrontations that would shock the nation. Fast forward to 1997, North Hollywood, a typical day turned into a war zone. Imagine a sunny morning in late February, the streets of North Hollywood bustling with the normal rhythm of city life. Suddenly, the tranquility is shattered by a hailstorm of bullets. This was the shocking reality of the North Hollywood shootout, a confrontation between 2 heavily armed and armored bank robbers and members of the Los Angeles Police Department. The heist started as a routine operation for Larry Phillips Jr. and Emil Matassarianu. They planned to rob the Bank of America branch on Laurel Canyon Boulevard, but things quickly spiraled out of control. Armed with automatic weapons and wearing body armor, the 2 men held the bank and its occupants hostage. When the police arrived, they found themselves outgunned. They had standard-issue pistols and shotguns against the robbers' military-grade automatic weapons. The firefight that ensued was nothing short of a war scene. The air filled with the deafening sound of gunfire, and the streets were littered with spent casings. The shootout lasted for a staggering 44 minutes, during which time the robbers fired over 1,000 rounds of ammunition. In the end, both robbers were killed, but not before they had injured 12 police officers and 8 civilians. The aftermath of the shootout forced a sweeping change in law enforcement agencies across the United States. The LAPD and other police departments began to upgrade their firepower, equipping officers with automatic weapons to match those of potential criminals. It was a grim reminder of the escalating violence police officers face, and the necessary lengths they must go to protect their communities. But the North Hollywood shootout wasn't just about the violence. It was a story of courage and resilience, of police officers and civilians who refused to back down in the face of overwhelming odds. They stood their ground, risking their lives to protect others. The North Hollywood shootout was a game changer, but the bloodshed was far from over. Oakland, 2009. The city woke up to a day it would never forget. On a seemingly ordinary Saturday morning in March, 4 Oakland police officers fell in the line of duty, marking one of the deadliest incidents for law enforcement in California history. The events of the day unfolded in a chilling sequence of violence. The shootout began with a routine traffic stop by 2 motorcycle officers. The driver, Lavelle Mixon, a parolee with an active warrant, chose to engage in a deadly confrontation rather than surrender. He fatally shot both officers before fleeing the scene. The city, still reeling from the initial shock, was soon plunged deeper into horror. A manhunt led police to an East Oakland apartment where Mixon was hiding. In the ensuing gun battle, 2 more officers were killed, and Mixon was shot dead, ending the terrible ordeal. The aftermath was a city in mourning. 4 families were left without fathers, sons, and husbands. The Oakland Police Department, already grappling with challenges, was devastated. The loss was not only felt within the confines of the city, but echoed across the nation, a stark reminder of the dangers police officers face daily. Yet, out of the tragedy, there was unity. Thousands from all walks of life gathered to pay tribute to the fallen officers. The incident spurred a broader dialogue on community police relations, the criminal justice system, and the need for reform. The 2009 Oakland shootouts were a grim testament to the reality of police work. The officer's sacrifice was a stark reminder of the thin blue line that stands between society and chaos, a line maintained by those willing to risk everything for the safety of others. The echoes of that fateful day still reverberate in the streets of Oakland and beyond. It serves as a sobering reminder of the risks and sacrifices that come with wearing the badge, and the need for continued dialogue and progress in our society. The 2009 Oakland shootouts shook the nation, but there were more bloody confrontations to come. Dallas 2016, a peaceful protest turned deadly. On the fateful night of July 7th, an otherwise peaceful protest against police violence became a horrifying scene of chaos and bloodshed. A lone gunman, driven by hate, turned his weapon against law enforcement officers, staining the streets of Dallas with a dark chapter of violence. The gunman, a former Army reservist, targeted the officers with a ruthless precision that left 5 of Dallas's finest dead and 9 others wounded. The city was paralyzed with fear, and the nation watched in shock as the brutal events unfolded. In the aftermath of the bloodshed, the city of Dallas and its police department were left to mourn their fallen comrades, and the nation grappled with the escalating tension between law enforcement and the communities they serve. The ripple effect of this tragedy reached far beyond Dallas, sparking nationwide debates on police violence and race relations. The Dallas police shootings were a tragic event in U.S. history, but there was one more bloody confrontation to discuss. Jersey City 2019, a day of terror and violence. This was a day when the tranquility of a small community was shattered by the echoes of gunfire. The Jersey City shootout was a horrific event that unfolded over several hours, leaving 3 civilians and a police detective dead. It all started at a cemetery, where Detective Joseph Seals was gunned down. The 2 assailants then fled to a nearby kosher grocery store, where they engaged in a fierce gun battle with the police. The standoff lasted for several hours, causing chaos and fear in the neighborhood. In the aftermath, the community was left to grapple with the loss of innocent lives and a sense of security. The event raised questions about gun laws, hate crimes, and the safety of our communities. It was a grim reminder that even the quietest of cities are not immune to such acts of violence. With the Jersey City shootout, our journey through the bloodiest police shootouts in U.S. history comes to an end.